Hello.
Hi.
And welcome to Once More, a podcast where two best pals rewatch, re-examine, and review our favorite movies, shows, and series. I'm Jen Katz.
And I'm Ryan.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? You doing a Prince thing? Just like
okay.
one name this week?
Yeah, I am.
How 80s of you.
I know. Switching it up.
Love that. Love that for you. It's Randy something. It's Ryan something this week. It's Ryan.
Just call me by my name.
The artist, podcaster formerly known
Ryan.
as Ryan something.
Just Ryan.
He's just Ryan. Okay. Question.
Yeah.
Has your cousin bitten you, resulting in some weird occurrences that you don't remember?
Not that I'm going to unpack with you in therapy, maybe.
Wow.
Okay.
Once More contains trauma.
It does, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to start over.
Okay. Sorry.
No. How about you?
Not recently.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
2003 was a hell of a year.
Yeah. Well, you were shaving your arms and your legs.
I'm telling you.
Your face. There's all that werewolf stuff coming out.
Oh.
Yeah. Always frisky around the full moon.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of werewolves, how do you feel about werewolf stories?
I actually like werewolf stories. When I was younger, of course, there's Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the werewolf. I was always kind of the werewolf. There was something just kind of more frightening, realistically, for me about it that I was kind of drawn to. Kind of the excitement of the fright, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in for the werewolves. Again, we've talked about this on another podcast, the Monster Squad.
Yes.
Which was a great 90s like preteen film that came out that featured all of these monsters that basically came alive in this town because Dracula brought them all back to life.
Oh, Dracula's always
he's always hosting a party.
Up to something.
Yeah, he's always up to something. So the werewolf was prominently featured, and maybe the same costume as this is quite possible. The costume.
So you mean the best werewolf costume we've ever seen?
The werewolf costume we've ever seen.
Vey.
Yeah. How about you? Were you a werewolf person?
I love a werewolf story. Yeah. I remember seeing the music video for, oh God, help me out, Thriller.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, Thriller had been out for a while, obviously, but it came on something I was watching. Maybe it was, I don't know, something on VH1 or MTV. I was quite young.
Back when that existed.
Right. And I was like, whoa, there's something about and they talk about on this episode, the manifestation of our wilder natures and just the losing control. And, whereas like when someone becomes a vampire, they're still a human or humanoid. And no matter whatever iteration you have of a vampire, they're sleek and they're sexy and they're scary. And that's all cool. I love vampires. Mm-hmm. There's something about a werewolf and just the wildness of it that I really like.
Right.
So if you hadn't already figured out, we're going to be discussing an episode of Buffy with werewolves in it. Oh. So today on this very podcast, we will be discussing the 15th episode of the second season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Phases. Phases was written by Rob De Hotel with Dean Batali, and it was directed by Bruce Seth Green.
Welcome back, Bruce.
Welcome back. Phases premiered on the WB on January 27th, 1998. Here we go. Yeah, this is an episode, folks.
Trying to think where I was January 27th, 1998, and I can't recall.
Is that because the FBI is listening?
No, just because I don't have a good memory.
Were you planning on storming the Capitol X amount of years later?
No. Just trying to
get through high school.
Some sort of related experience to the time period.
Oh, right. Yes. Ryan. Excuse me, the podcaster formerly known as Ryan something. What's our synopsis? What's this episode about today?
I'm so glad that you asked.
You're welcome.
When a werewolf descends upon Sunnydale, it is up to Buffy and the gang to protect the mostly human being from an evil poacher who is hunting the animal for sport.
Ugh.
Meanwhile, much to Xander's dismay, Willow turns her romantic interest to Oz, unaware of the danger she's about to face.
That's pretty good.
Dun, dun, dun.
As far as synopses go, that was one of the better ones, I would say.
One of the better ones, yeah.
Hits all the notes. Yeah. So we start out with every generation, but again, Giles who? Don't care. We've got our very own Giles. You are the Giles of this podcast, I would say.
God, that was really graceful.
So the artist formerly known as Ryan will be giving us a dramatic reading of the Every Generation monologue.
Okay. Introduction.
Who are we?
Intro.
Yes, the intro. Take it away.
In every generation, there is a chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, the demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer.
Oh, I like that. You switched up a little bit at the end.
Like
she is the
It
Slayer.
got a little dark and then it got exciting because there's hope.
There is hope. Where there's a Slayer, there's hope. Okay, we open in the halls of Sunnydale High School.
Love this.
I do too. We get Oz. Oz played by Seth Green, who we love dearly.
Not Bruce Seth Green.
No relation.
No relation.
So Oz is looking in the yeah, sure. Oz is looking in the trophy case, and he's looking at the cheerleading statue.
Yes, I love this.
This is so great.
Who is the cheerleading
That's Amy's
statue?
mom.
It's Amy's
Catherine
mom
the Great.
who's stuck there. She's been cast there. Oh yeah, that's right. She was a witch. Oh, is this the witch that Sandra's gonna summon next week?
No.
Okay.
Amy's gonna do some witchy stuff next week.
I bet Amy's back in Sunnydale.
Doing some witchy stuff in school.
Cauldron Cafe.
Oh, Willow comes up and she's like, "Hey," and he says, I think she asks him what he's looking at, and Oz is like, this cheerleading trophy. Have you ever noticed it feels like its eyes follow you wherever you go?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "I like it."
It's Catherine.
It's Catherine the Great.
Willow knows about it, huh?
Yes, yeah. Willow knows because I think they end that episode, the episode from season 1, Witch, where they're looking at the statue and they're talking about it. They're just. Do you have qualms about the fact that they just left it there? Like, no. Again, dangerous object should probably be disposed of.
Yeah. What were they going to do with her?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Like muerte? Like.
Well, I mean, what if they buried it or melted it down or something? She's not a good person.
Yeah, I guess how do you escape from that? Is like a djinn? Do you just,
I don't know.
You rub her back or something?
I don't know. I'm saying these are questions that no one seems to care about.
They just left her in the trophy case.
And what if there was a student not like Oz who's like, "Oh, I'm going to take this statue and see what's going on." And then they unleash Amy's mom.
Right. Or Amy's mom like mesmerizes whoever's watching.
I'm just saying the plan is not great. It's not great.
Fast and loose. That's the
Buffy way.
Buffy way.
So Oz and Willow are having this cute conversation. They had gone to the movies the night before, and she asked him, "Did you like the movie?"
They had a date. A normal date. Not vampires and murder and
Buffy's ex-boyfriend turns into
manslaughter.
Yeah, exactly. Turns into a murderous vampire, and then they have to go blow up the mall with a rocket launcher. It just seems like
to save the world from a demon that zaps everyone's soul.
It's fine.
R.I.P. that one guy that actually lost it.
I know. The guy was just at the mall.
On his way home with bags for his wife and kids. Or his partner, whoever it was.
Yeah. Poor Rick. Just vaporized. Okay.
He's a single dad shopping at the mall. His soul got zapped by the demon of them all. I don't know. All right.
And then they're just having this back and forth about, they enjoyed the popcorn. And Willow's like, "I had a really good time with you." And I was like, "Yeah, I had a good time with you too." And then they kind of do an awkward "Okay, well, bye."
Yeah.
And then we get Lair Bear.
I love how awkward they both are together.
Yeah.
Because Willow's a little awkward, socially awkward.
A little bit.
When it comes to relationships.
She's inexperienced.
She's a bit inexperienced, but I think maybe he might have a little bit of experience, but he's still a little kind of nerdy and awkward as well.
He's taking it slow.
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, I had a good time." And she's like, "My time was also of the good."
Yeah.
And he gets her.
Yeah.
He didn't make fun of her.
No.
He's like, "Yeah, I liked what you were saying,
Yeah.
And I love that.
I do too.
Their chemistry.
They're so cute.
The energy, these are two characters where it's believable.
Yeah.
and you're not like icked out by something that he's saying to her, which you get a lot from
Xander,
which
we will this episode, and Larry. So I do like when they're kind of doing the standing, like, do we hug? What do we do? And then Willow sees Buffy walk up and she goes, "Oh, there is my friend that I will go to." And then she just walks away.
Yeah.
Oh God. And then Oz is standing there, and then we get Larry, good pal Larry, coming up. And he says, "What's up, Oz? Dating a junior, huh?" And then he sees Willow and Buffy together, and he goes, "I would love to get in on some of that action, if you know what I mean." And Oz is so great. He says, "Yeah, Larry, you've really mastered the art of the single entendre."
Single entendre. That was funny.
It was great. And Larry's just being gross. It's like what we saw in media and, you know, people in real life is very much like, "So how far have you gotten? Have you scored?"
Yeah, that's
gross.
It's the toxic masculinity.
It's the locker room talk.
It's the locker room talk. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Larry notices a girl, and he
braggart
knocks the books out of her hand.
Yeah.
When she bends down to pick them up, he says, "Oh, thank you, Thigh Master."
Just checking her out.
He needs industrial strength therapy.
Which
we're 90% sure it was a teacher.
It looked that actor looked like a teacher to me. I'm like, what's happening in this school? But anyway, so I do like the line where, you know, again, I don't like this line, but Larry's just really fucking with Oz. He's like, "So is that innocent schoolgirl all an act?" And Oz says, "Yeah, she's actually an evil mastermind. It's fun." Oz is just, it's water off a duck's back. He's not getting in his face.
No, he's not getting flustered the way that Xander would.
Xander would be like, "Yeah." And not to say it's not wrong to defend your friends, but Oz is just like, this guy's a fuck.
Oz is secure.
He's secure.
Xander is not. And so it's just kind of a different response.
Yeah.
Like you said, he just kind of lets it roll off his back.
Because he knows it doesn't.
He sees the guy for what he is.
Exactly.
And nothing more.
Exactly. And we cut to Buffy and Willow. They're walking in the quad.
Yeah. And now we go from last episode with Buffy having the sex talk about will she, won't she with Angel. We have Willow saying that she'd like a little bit of physical smooches from Oz.
Yeah. You know, because Willow, I guess we don't really see Buffy ask this or hear Buffy ask, but she's asking like, "Well, where are you guys at?" And Willow's like, "Nothing."
Yeah.
But before we get into this, I know it's early. You want a little Black Box Theater?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Great.
On today's edition of Vampire Black Box Theater, the role of Willow Rosenberg will be played by Ryan. Something. The role of Buffy Summers will be played by me, Jen Katz. Scene.
Nowhere. I mean, he said he was going to wait until I was ready, but I'm ready. Honest. I'm good to go here.
Well, I think it's nice that he's not just being an animal.
It is nice. He's great. We have a lot of fun, but I want smoochies.
Have you dropped any hints?
I've dropped anvils.
He'll come around. What guy could resist your wily Willow charms?
At last count, all of them. Maybe more.
Well, none of them know a thing. They all get an F in Willow.
But I want Oz to get an A. And, one of those gold stars.
He will.
Well, he better hurry. I don't want to be the only girl in school without a real boyfriend. Buffy looks down sadly. Willow realizes her insensitivity. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even talked about it. Do you want me to go away?
I wish you wouldn't.
How are you holding up anyway?
I'm holding. I was going on 2 minutes there without thinking about Angel.
Well, there you go, Buffy.
I'm sorry.
Well, there you go.
But I would do a lot better if you and Xander and I could do that sharing our misery thing tonight.
Great. I'll give Xander a call. What's his number? Oh, yeah. 1-800 I'm dating a skanky hoe.
Meow.
Really? Thanks. I've never gotten a meow before.
Well deserved.
Darn tootin'. I'm just saying, Xander and Cordelia, I mean, what does he see in her anyway?
Scene.
Yeah. How long is that going to go on, do you think? The
back and forth.
Cordelia shock of it all for Willow. You think she's going to...
It goes on for a little bit. Yeah.
She's never going to...
Well, as Willow pointed out, Xander was the treasurer of the We Hate Cordelia Club.
That's right. Yeah, good for her.
Yeah.
I think she has ragging rights on him for sure.
Well, and that's the thing. Like she says in Innocence, what is she talking about? Oh, she says, you'd rather be with someone you hate than be with me. I mean, Willow has been holding that torch for him for so long. And so, I mean, I get it. You know, I think she's entitled to feel a little bit of anger. Now, I take umbrage with her calling Cordelia a skanky hoe. Willow, take your anger out on him, not on Cordelia. And it boggles my mind. They did this the last episode too, where they're like, God, Cordelia is so skanky. She's so trashy. And I'm like, she's literally dressed in designer clothing, covered up all the time. And if she wasn't, that's still cool. But it's like they're acting like she's wearing very revealing clothing and being very promiscuous, and she's just not, you know?
Because she's kind of presented as like kind of the attractive female queen bee.
Yeah.
At this time, terms like skanky and hoe, you know.
Yeah, it was an insult to anybody you were mad about.
Yeah.
But 1-800, I'm dating a skanky hoe is a great line.
That's great. There's a sleigh here in this scene.
There sure is.
I like Buffy's leather jacket.
She looks great.
It's pretty cool.
So, cut to Xander and Cordelia in Cordelia's daddy's car, making out, or make out point. And Xander's like, I just don't know what she sees in him, talking about Oz. And Cordelia's like, hey.
Focus, bro.
Right here. Like,
stop talking about Willow. We're trying to make out.
And she's like, if you're not babbling about Willow, then you're going on about how
Buffy.
And she's like, I'm right here.
Yeah, I love how she really brings him back to center. She's like, hey, it's a nice night.
A big, beautiful full moon.
The moon's out. This is romantic.
Yeah.
Like, get into it.
Get into it.
She's like, kiss me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, that's great. Because he got anxiety about both these girls.
Which
he's all over the place.
Let it go with Willow. You're literally have been making out with somebody else. And now that she's interested in someone else, well, now that's a tale as old as time. But
yeah, especially with men like Xander.
And then they start making out again. He's like, what was that? And Cordelia's like, are you fucking kidding me? And then they start kissing again. He's like, now I know I heard something. She's like, oh my God, we're just going to leave. Yeah. Like I'm in what? She's like, I'm in my daddy's car doing things my daddy doesn't know about because he thinks I'm a good girl. And I'm like, what are you and Xander doing?
Oh my gosh, there was so much to unpack in the way that she was talking about her dad.
And this is, gave me very Beth Dutton vibes with daddy.
Oh yeah.
This is off obviously I won't keep it in, but they don't have sex because when Xander has sex with Faith, that's it. He says he's no longer a virgin. So whatever they're doing, they're not having sex. And good for them. But
yeah, good for her.
Dodged a bullet there, Toots.
Big bullet.
So then all of a sudden, werewolf comes through the cloth.
Through the soft top.
Soft top, thank you.
Cloth. Of Daddy's Corvette. Excuse me, of Daddy's, it's not a Corvette, it's a convertible.
And it's a werewolf. And they gun it out of there.
You can always expect to see Cordelia gun the car.
She is a speed racer.
She's a gunner.
And credits. So we cut to the parking lot at Sunnydale High School, and Buffy's investigating. She's looking at the whole Cordelia's soft top.
This is great. There's some fashion slays around this car right now.
Cordelia.
You picked Cordelia.
I did.
For her outfit.
She's got the little sunglasses. She's got her hair. She's got like money pieces down. Some of it's pulled up. A sweater tied and a little striped like sweater on top. Looks great.
Money pieces?
Good. Yeah, when you have like the front two pieces of your hair and you dye them, they're called money pieces.
Huh. Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
More you know.
Childs' jacket, vest, shirt, tight combo looks great.
Oh, yeah.
What does not look good, and it's very fitting for his personality, is Xander. He's all over the place. What the fuck is this outfit?
I just stopped looking.
Leather jacket with a sweater on top of a sweater on top of a crew neck or something. I don't know.
Like just V-neck velour purple.
Just odd.
What is happening?
That was a choice and not one that I would have made on set.
Mm-mm.
Do actors have the authority to say mm-mm?
I think when you get to a certain point.
Yeah. Well, not him at this time.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, I don't know. Wasn't there. I feel like the later seasons, Sarah Michelle Gellar definitely probably had a say in what she was wearing.
Yeah, I bet she does at this point for sure. She's the lead.
And Cordelia's like, "Ugh, this is awful. Daddy just had this car detailed." So funny. And Giles pops up and he's like, "Yeah, there's been some wild dog attacks with mutilated animals." Yeah. And Willow's like, "Please tell me it's not bunnies. Not bunnies." Willow's deer shirt. Mm-hmm. We're making a note.
Is this an Easter egg?
It is.
Cool.
Intentional, probably not, but it's cool watching it back and seeing this.
So. Love this.
And she also notes that the full moon is actually tonight because, they're talking about the werewolves and like, well, we should be fine.
Right.
Because, that was
a full moons have phases.
Yeah.
And it's more than just.
Said the title of the episode. Wow.
Oh, wow. There's more than one night of a full moon is basically what she's pointing out to everyone.
Yeah. Everyone thought, oh, it's one night.
No, nope. It doesn't work that way.
Giles is like giving them the rundown. Nope. Nobody's been hurt. Animals have been, but no humans. And Giles is like, well, okay. Willow's right that tonight's the full moon, and maybe the legend that werewolves only prowl during the full moon might be erroneous. And he's jazzed. He's like very excited.
Yeah, he's excited to go study something.
Yeah, and Buffy's like, I guess Giles has some schooling to do, and he says, "Oh yes, I must admit, I'm intrigued. Werewolves, well, it's one of the classics." And he's just like,
yeah, he's pumped.
And I'm sure my books and I are in for a fascinating afternoon. And I'm like,
I'm there.
That's the afternoon I want.
I want to be with him studying werewolves from ancient books. Sign us up.
Sign us up.
Come on,
all
Giles.
day. And he's just so jazzed. And he's like, basically whistling a tune as he walks away.
Yeah.
And Buffy says, he really needs to get a pet. I mean, they're laying the animal metaphors on thick this episode.
Yeah, they really are.
I mean, what did they say?
Earlier they said, oh, he's not an animal.
Buffy says, at least he's not acting like a wild animal.
Right. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, we'll get more of that. So we cut to gym class.
Mm-hmm.
And Buffy and Willow are sitting together. Oz is behind Willow, and he like tucks her tag back in, and it's very sweet. And Xander's like, "God, did you look at that?" Like, "Hey, buddy, this is a public forum." And it's like, can you just?
I'm sick. I need help.
Can you just shut up?
Focus on yourself, buddy.
You're sitting next to a
the
gorgeous woman,
chick in school, according to most people,
the hottest chick in school,
right?
Who is willingly sitting next to you. She wants to make out with you.
Right.
And you're over here just And so we learn at gym class that they're there to, I'm sorry, I want to say this line. Cordelia points out to, or what does she say to Xander? Like, I think you splashed on just a little too much obsession for nerds today.
Nice.
She clocks it. Anyway, the PE teacher's like, hey, we're going to do self-defense today. Which, did you ever learn self-defense in PE in any grade? Because I sure as hell did not.
No, but I wish that they would have taught it to more folks, especially more young women.
Same. Yeah, would have been nice. But hey, gotta teach abstinence, and we're not gonna teach you how to defend yourself.
Well, listen,
but we will teach you how to square dance.
But in Sunnydale, it is a fight for survival.
Which
they're teaching self-defense early.
It's actually quite smart.
Yeah. Well, now what they're not doing is giving people the proper self-defense moves that they need, like staking, and crossbows,
carrying holy water with you at all times,
knives to cut people's heads off,
silver bullets.
Giles should be teaching this class with his duffel bag full of toys.
Wow. Okay.
Old Ripper.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Perfect.
So
what's in the box? What's in the bag, Giles?
I want to see.
Good Lord. Yes.
Okay. So the PE teacher separates everybody into groups, and we see Larry again, good pal Larry. He takes off his jacket and his arm is wrapped. And Xander asks him what happened. And he's like, oh, last week I got bit by a dog.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh,
and
wait. Oh. Is Larry going to turn into a werewolf? No. Is he the werewolf?
We're going to find out this episode.
Okay, cool.
We're going to find out. Who knows? He says it took 39 stitches to stitch up. Like, it seems like it was pretty bad bite. And then Oz is like, yeah, no, I've been there. My cousin Jordy just got his grown-up teeth in. He does not like to be tickled. He's holding up his finger like Jordy bit him. We're like,
Whoa.
oof, that doesn't sound good, Oz. Sorry that happened to you. And then Larry has to go over to Teresa and be a fucking gross piece of shit.
Which we get to meet Teresa.
We do.
A new character.
Gonna last forever. She's gonna be main cast.
Played by a main cast.
Uh-huh.
And
great.
Yeah.
Good pal Teresa.
Good pal Teresa.
Yeah, Larry's a fucking asshole. He goes, Teresa, and she looks at him and he goes, be still my shorts.
He needs industrial strength therapy.
Wow.
It's gross.
Buddy.
So Larry is played by Larry Bagby III is the actor who plays Larry.
Larry Bagby III.
Yes. And if you're listening, Larry, I would love to have you on the pod to talk about your portrayal.
Talk about your family lineage.
The Bagbys.
The Bagbys from Connecticut?
I think so. Heavens Porter.
Hyannisport.
Sure.
Heavens.
Larry is awful this episode, and we'll get to the end and we'll unpack that.
Yeah.
But his misogyny in this episode and in previous episodes has been really gross. But I think this actor does a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
He seems great. And I know what's going to happen with Larry moving forward, so I don't want to spoil anything. I'll wait till the spoiler section. But anyway, Larry Bagby III, I think he's great. Love it.
Yeah.
I watched Glee. I know you didn't get into Glee. There's a character named Kowalski on Glee. Mm-hmm. Can't remember his first name. It's a very similar situation. He's a bully. He's mean. He's closeted. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that actor, who is also a lovely person in real life, definitely took some notes from Larry Bagby III. Karofsky. That's his name, Karofsky. Larry as a character, yes, I think is relatable on a lot of ways.
Yes.
For a lot of people. One, if you've ever been bullied by a popular person, Larry fits that archetype.
I've met a lot of Larrys.
Same. Or if you have been kind of a Larry, even if you're not bullying someone, if you are closeted and you're trying to hide it, a lot of times you overcompensate. Right. And I'm using a collective you.
Exactly.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
I didn't experience that. I mean, we've talked about it on our episode of Unhinged, right, which was our Pride Month episode. Go listen to it if you haven't. I mean, I knew I was attracted to women just like I was attracted to men, but I wasn't like bullying people and overcompensating for it. I just didn't know how to process and deal with it. But there's definitely, I think, some people I went to high school with who were like a Larry. They were mean.
Yeah.
They were angry at the world all the time. And there were always these like rumors and maybes. And yeah, so watching this, I was like, okay, I know this person.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to meeting this sort of character. And, you know, there's a lot of it is the time period where it was just part of the nomenclature to call people gay.
That's the second time I've heard that word today. Sorry.
FAG.
Yeah,
which is a term that I don't like to use. Or queer, or I mean, there's all sorts of different ways that folks would laugh about it.
No, I mean, yeah.
And kids even who didn't fully even understand their own feelings or how they felt about themselves or how they felt about other people would still pile on with that sort of talk and that sort of behavior.
Yep.
But I've certainly met the Larrys and interacted with them, and I've also met the ones who would still, use these sort of slurs and not fully understand that it had an impact on someone that may have heard it, right?
I can almost understand and have compassionate for people who end up like Larry's. If you grow up with this, he still is awful and misogynistic and harassing and gross, but
sometimes we're products of our environment.
I think more than sometimes, I don't know. It's interesting, but anyway, if you are listening, Larry Bagby III, you did great as Larry, and no spoilers, but I really like what's coming next. So
great, cool.
Yeah. And like I mentioned, if anyone watched Glee out there, I fully am convinced that the character of Karofsky is based off of Larry.
Cool.
It's basically the same storyline.
Okay.
Anyway, Larry gets up to Teresa and is gross. And then Buffy shows up and she's like, oh, I'm in the group too. Willow takes her aside and she's like, hey, you have to pretend to be a meek little girly girl like the rest of us. These people don't know you're a Slayer.
Right. Self-defense class. Can you imagine? I mean, Buffy threw the cheerleader across the gym when she was trying out for cheerleader.
Yeah. Buffy could wipe the floor with everybody in there.
Good.
And Buffy's like, spoil my fun, which is one of my favorite gifts to use. And Buffy gets paired up with Larry, and the PE teacher's demonstrating, like, flipping over. If someone's attacking you from behind, like how you can flip them or get away. No, I guess she teaches them how to get away from it. I don't remember. But she's like, oh, no, can't get out. And then fucking Larry says, ooh, Summers, you are turning me on, and touches her butt.
Does. Grabs it, not just touches it. But
no, it is.
Does one of these.
Harassment.
Yeah.
And Buffy flips the shit out of him.
She does.
And Oz says, well, that works too. Love Oz. Yeah, I mean, play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, Larry.
Come on, Larry.
He already knows that Buffy's strong. Buffy, doesn't Buffy get in between him and Xander in one episode?
Maybe.
She does. They're at the soda machine.
Okay.
And remember, Xander gets his feelings hurt because he's like, no one's going to think I'm a sissy boy.
Oh, that's right. The sissy boy comment. I do remember that.
Okay, so we go to the library.
We are back at the library.
Giles has been researching.
Yes.
He's got his lunar phase globe thing going on.
He's nerding out.
He is nerding out.
I'm here for it.
I am too.
Also, where's the globe been? I'm my first thought was, where does he keep it? Does he keep it in the cage? Does he keep it in his office? Is it on top of one of the stacks? Where's the globe been?
That library is extensive. There's a lot of space in that library.
A lot more than meets the eye.
Yeah. And Giles is like, well, there's no scientific reason for the lunar effects on the human psyche, but the phases of the moon do seem to exert a great deal of psychological influence. And the full moon seems to bring out our darkest qualities. And Xander cracks a joke. He's like, oh, yeah, and led to the invention of the moon pie. And Giles is tickled.
Giles is yucking it up.
He can't stop laughing.
And I don't know if he's laughing because he thinks it's funny or he thinks that Xander just is filled with ridiculous, little comebacks and quips like that.
I don't know. But Buffy and Willow are like,
cannot. They're done with.
And I mean, he basically says that the werewolf is a extreme representation of our inborn animalistic traits that emerge for 3 consecutive nights, the full moon and the 2 nights surrounding it. So 3 nights of being a werewolf. Giles says that, basically when a werewolf is in werewolf form, they are an animal. They're not human anymore. It's pure instinct. They have no conscience. It's all predatory and aggressive nature.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Buffy says, in other words, your typical male. And Xander says, on behalf of my gender, hey, you don't need to be standing up, sir.
You
sit your ass down.
If you could stand up and say, on behalf of my gender, I take that personally because it applies to you, sir.
Exactly. And Giles, being progressive, he's like, it could also be a wolf woman.
It could.
We don't know.
Good for him. I like that.
Yep. And Xander's like, all right, load up the silver bullets. And Giles is like, no, it's still a human. So if we don't want to kill it because it's a werewolf only 3 days out of the month. The rest of the time it's human. So they make a plan that they're going to just bring it in. And cut to Buffy and Giles in the woods at Makeout Point.
They're a stakeout at Makeout Point.
Love it.
I love it.
They just have there's all these cars parked around and people are making out.
Giles is kind of snooping around, and then Buffy's super excited because she's like, you're never going to believe what I saw.
Yeah, he's like, a
werewolf? She's like, no. It's like Allison, whatever her name was.
Janny.
Yeah, someone else. And he's like, okay, got it.
Yeah, he's like, they were making out, but he's actually going with this person. And he's like, Buffy.
Focus.
And she's like, or what does he say? He's like, well, I thought we could knock on all the windows and ask if anyone's seen anything.
She's like, Giles, no one here has seen anything.
He's like, oh, yes.
Yeah. They're all too busy making out.
He's like, maybe he's thinking he should take Jenny up here to make out Point.
Where do we leave that?
They're back together.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're not.
No, they're not.
Sorry.
And no, because
Angela. Well, she lied. She lied to all of them. So,
she did. Yeah. So I wonder if she's even showing up to work. She's still going through the motions.
She's still teaching computer class, or is she mourning her uncle Enyos? Who can say Uncle Lenny? Okay.
Only time.
Okie dokie.
All right.
So they're, they separate. She's in one part of the woods, and all of a sudden she gets caught in a fucking snare. Yeah, a net. And some Yahoo steps out of the woods with a fucking teeth necklace.
Straight from January 6th.
And
Practicing.
He's practicing. He's getting ready. He is such a doomsday prepper. This
Totally.
Fool. And he's got a fucking rifle pointed at Buffy.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the hell? Who are you? And Giles shows up.
Finally caught you. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
This guy, this is really what brings the episode down for me. This inclusion of this character. We did not need this. Did not need it.
You can have a monster of the week without having to have this ridiculous caricature of the hunter.
Because he's so ridiculous.
It's not a good caricature of the hunter either.
He's terrible.
I love a story. A lot of operas, a lot of dramatic, themes of the hunter.
Yeah.
And, this is terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And he frees Buffy and Giles has shown up. And then this whole exchange, we were like, ugh. He's like,
I'm sick. I need help.
I'm just going to keep it on a loop. So, Kane like lowers his gun. And
his name is Gib Kane.
What the fuck?
Gib.
What the fuck? And Kane's like, well, he's looking at Buffy, like appraising her. He's like, gotta say, I'm impressed. And Buffy is like, what? And Giles says, excuse me. And Kane looks at Giles and says, well, it's good to get the fruit while it's fresh.
I'm sick. I need help.
He thinks Giles and Buffy are there making out. This 40-year-old man.
Point of order. Buffy has a 240-year-old boyfriend. Semantics.
They're not together anymore, Ryan.
That's right. I'm so sorry. They broke up.
I mean, it's not her fault. He went evil and, anyway, we need a Chris Hansen button so bad.
Oh, God.
Added to the list. And Giles is like, you would be wise. You see a little bit of Ripper come out. He's like, you'd be wise to take that back. And I'm like, damn me.
Buffy leans into his shoulder.
Good Lord.
And he keeps going. He says, hey, what a man and a girl do. So he's recognizing that this is an adult man and a young girl. What a man and a girl do in Lover's Lane at late at night is nobody's business. And Giles is ready, like, let's fucking go. And Buffy's like, okay, fuck off you. We're here hunting werewolves. And he starts laughing. He's like, okay. And he says, it's funny thinking about you two trying to catch a werewolf. I mean, this guy's auditioning to be a librarian. It's funny because he is a librarian.
Okay.
It did make me laugh.
This is one funny line.
And Giles kind of has the nerve to look offended. He's like, oh.
Good heavens.
Good Lord.
and he looks at Buffy. He's like, well, and you? And Giles says, I assure you, she's quite capable. And she is.
Yeah, she is.
And basically we learn that Kane is a werewolf hunter. He says every one of his teeth on his necklace he ripped from the mouth of a werewolf that he killed. And he doesn't care that these werewolves are human.
No.
He's like, that's why I kill them 3 days out of the month.
He's killing elephants and all sorts of other stuff. He's bragging about going on safari, and he's just that guy.
He's a big old piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's going to open up a sandwich shop in about 20 years and call it Jimmy John's.
And it's so weird because he says, I skin them and sell their pelts to people in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
What the fuck?
Of all places.
Which feels racist to me.
Totally.
Because it's like, oh, I'm going to go to this South Asian country because they're like primitive. Yeah. They want
tribal of some
werewolf
sort.
pelts.
Right. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, Gib.
Again, sign of the times. we want something to seem mysterious and part of the folklore. We have to go someplace that is dark and far away.
Darkest Africa. Ooh, the Far East. Ooh, India. Ooh, Sri Lanka.
It's like, get on a fucking plane, Gib.
So we cut to Teresa walking home at night in the dark, which again, Sunnydale, you should know better. Let's not.
I did not know that Teresa in this scene was the same Teresa as the scene before, because it looks like two different actresses.
I think they just, they made her up a little bit more because the previous scene she was in gym class.
She's in gym class. Her hair's back.
Yeah.
And a ponytail. It's dark.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a brunette. So it took me a moment to figure out that this was the same character, just because the way they had her hair done, she just kind of looked different. But she's walking down the sidewalk like she's walking home.
Not in this town, toots.
We think the werewolf is going to jump out and get her, but it's Angel.
Yeah, because we hear a little like, grrr, Teresa's like, ooh. So she's starting to run because she turns around when she hears the growl, then she starts to run and she runs smack into
Angelus. And I thought it was Angel at first, because I'm so used to seeing Angel and thinking that he's here to help.
He has
or that he will be helpful. And I'm like, oh, great. Who better to help fight a werewolf than a vampire? It's Angelus.
And he's holding the flower and he's like playing with the flower.
He's getting ready to play with her.
Oh God. And she's like, or he's doing the angel voice of like, are you okay?
Exactly.
Is everything okay?
Yeah. Ugh.
She's like, I thought I heard something. And Angel, he's looking. He's like, oh no, there's no one there. He's like, hey, don't I know you? Do you go to school with Buffy? Teresa's like, oh my God, you know Buffy? And she she smiles. And so she gets this sense of like, she's safe. She's calm.
Teresa. You have learned through elementary school until now, stranger danger.
It's Sunnydale, babe.
If this dude's coming up with you with a lollipop or a flower in this case, I mean, like, hey, I know your friend Buffy from school. Let's walk together. Run.
He's pale as fuck. And he's wearing leather pants. It can't be good, but it can't be good, Teresa.
He's 240 years old wearing leather pants in Sunnydale.
And it's not good. I mean, we learn later. It's not good.
Well, Teresa's like, hey. How'd I get so lucky?
Must be my lucky night. So Angela says, no, it's not. Spoiler alert.
Clarification, it's not her lucky night.
It's not her lucky night.
I don't know if you noticed, but there's really bad TV music. In fact, most of this episode is bad TV music. I don't get it.
Like I've said before, if I notice it, it's bad because I never notice music unless it's a like popular song. I was like, this sounds like a like a lot of the music. It's stock music.
It's like 90s sitcom / drama, Murder She Wrote type stuff.
Let's get Jessica. Yes, let's get Jessica Fletcher in Sunnydale.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine that mashup? The crossover.
I need it. Someone write that fanfic.
She shows up. She's like, oh, I'm just here for a little cup of coffee.
She'd be giving some eyes to Rupert.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, that's the reason she's there.
Oh, she's an old friend of Giles.
She's there to research in the library because she's hot on the trail for her new book.
Yeah,
and at the same time, it ends up being a Murder She Wrote mystery where she helps Buffy and the team solve it.
She does.
What a great mashup! I want to see this.
I do too. So, Angelus is walking Teresa home, and we cut to the Bronze, which we didn't mention earlier, but when Giles and Buffy are talking to old Gib,
Kane, the werewolf hunter.
He says, he's tracked the werewolf here, and if he's not here, or if it's not here, it's usually going to be somewhere where there's hot, like sexual activity, like increased body temperature and stuff. And
we cut to the Bronze. Blind for Now.
Yeah,
played by the band Lotion. Who's the actual band with their posters up on the wall of the Bronze.
They look and sound great.
They're playing the song Blind for Now from their album Nobody's Cool, which was their second studio album released in 1996.
Can we add this to the Slayer playlist?
It's already on it.
Can we share the Slayer playlist with the world yet?
Of course.
Okay, we're going to add it to the show notes this go round. We've said it, folks.
We do have we have a playlist on Spotify beyond our podcast, which we'd rather you listen to. But
please,
yes,
thank you.
If you're going to listen to one of them, listen to the podcast. But we do have a Slayer playlist, and it is a mix of songs that invoke the spirit of the Slayer, as well as other characters throughout the series, And we also have featured a number of the songs that are heard at the Bronze.
We have. And I really want to shout out you here because you've done the legwork on this playlist. It's very thoughtful.
I like playlists.
I know, and you're very good at them, very intentional with them. And I've added a couple songs here and there, but and if you're a Buffy fan and who has seen all the seasons and all the episodes, some of the songs will come up and you'll be like, oh,
yeah,
I know this is with something that happens later, where we are in our coverage, but it's a great playlist and we'll link it in the show notes.
We also have some new trendier songs, which we feel, again, invoke the spirit of the Slayer, which you've been great at adding and contributing to the playlist. So don't count yourself out. Thank you so much.
So we cut to the Bronze. As you said, Lotion is playing. What a great name for a 90s band.
Great name.
So great.
So good.
Because Buffy realized when they were talking to Kane in the woods, she's like, if they're not at makeout point, where's another place full of rampant sexual energy? Guess it's the Bronze.
Listening to a band called Lotion. Yeah. Smooth.
And hold on, my little button thing is going crazy. Okay. So we cut to Cordelia and Willow, we see Cordelia and Willow sitting together at the Bronze. Cordelia is wearing a great sweater, and it's a blasted brand.
This is a slave for both of them.
Yeah.
It's blasted. It is an early OG Tommy Hilfiger a turtleneck.
And that's why I'm like, why are y'all acting like she's a
turtleneck
skanky hoe when she's... You can be a skanky hoe in a turtleneck. Now, do not get it twisted.
Or do get it twisted.
Live your life.
Live your life.
But when they are like, oh, Cordelia's so trashy, this and that, and it's like, girl's wearing a Tommy Hilfiger turtleneck. Anyway, Willow and Cordelia, this is so funny. We don't really get a lot of Willow and Cordelia solo. And when we have, it's usually been Cordelia being mean Queen Bee. They're not bonding.
Oh, I think they're bonding here.
No, I know they are here, but I'm saying previously.
Yes, you're right.
And she's like, oh, with Xander, it's always, Cordelia says, it's always Buffy this, Willow said that, Buffy, Willow. It's like I don't even exist. And Willow says, I sometimes feel like that. And Cordelia says, when I call him on it, he acts all confused. Like, whoa. They're just these two girls bonding over.
I'd say that they're boy bashing, which I would take umbrage in any instance because you shouldn't just be sitting together bashing someone.
Agreed.
However, the main focus point of this boy bashing is...
She says, oh, he's got his, do I smell something look? And Cordelia's like, it's just a game. He's there, then he's not there, then he wants it, but he doesn't want it. And Willow, he said he's so busy looking around at everything he doesn't have. He doesn't realize what he does have. And that's it.
Yeah.
Xander
is true.
It's it. And Cordelia, says, well, at least he should realize that you have Oz. And then Willow starts to get into her feelings about Oz. She's like, I'm not sure that I do.
Yeah.
We're in some holding pattern, except without the holding.
Oh,
I know. Poor Willow. She just wants smoochies.
She wants smoochies. She wants to be held. Willow, I see you. I hear you.
I love this next line. And again, we just made it very clear we're not pro generalization of anybody and bashing. But I like that Cordelia says, she's like, what's Oz waiting for? What's his problem? She's like, oh, that's right. He's a guy. And Willow says, him and Xander, guys. Cordelia, who do they think they are? And Willow's just squinting. She's like, couple of guys. It's just so cute. I like seeing them bond.
It's cute. Who wrote this again? Was this Bruce Seth Green?
No, Rob De Hotel and Dean Batali.
Gotcha. And
then all of a sudden, their bonding moment is interrupted because rah!
Completely interrupted.
Yeah.
Not by a vampire this time.
Oh.
The werewolf has found his way to the Bronze.
And everybody makes it out. Nobody gets hurt at the Bronze. I'm shocked. This is probably a first for the Bronze that there's been a supernatural attack and nobody dies.
The people of the Bronze know how to leave that place quickly. They know where all the exits are. They're on it.
Yeah.
People keep going back to this place.
Why?
How do they keep getting a permit for operations?
Because, well, the vampires have probably killed all the people at P&Z. There's nobody there.
Wild.
And Willow's running out. Buffy and Giles have gotten there. Everyone's out, and Buffy is going to go hunt the werewolf.
The werewolf, who we must point out at this time, has a terrible costume.
Oh, dear sweet baby Yahweh. Yeah.
The mouth doesn't move. The mouth stays the same. where the teeth are bare the entire time. Like there's no lips.
They bought it at Spirit for sure.
I'm pretty sure this is the one at Spirit that you walk past and it's like, "Arr."
Yeah, it's like it's Party City.
It's wild.
Go back to Party City where you belong, werewolf costume.
I'd like to go back to Party City, but I'm 40 something years old now.
Willow, everybody gets out, which we're very thankful for. The owners of the bronze, I'm sure, like, thank God, not another death.
Yeah. I only lost a couple of glasses this time.
And some upturned chairs. And that's we see when Buffy goes in. The bronze is a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Werewolf has wrecked some havoc. And she's
snooping around,
trying to get to it. Doesn't run into the werewolf. Oh, well, she does. And she runs into the werewolf and she's got a chain. She like lassos him, but he gets away, jumps out of the.
Yeah, he sneaks out the back door to the alley.
I thought he jumps out the same window that Buffy jumped in on her surprise party, that big tall glass one. Buffy tried to chain him. And he's like, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. No wonder this town is overrun with monsters because nobody's man enough to kill them.
So he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you, dude.
Fuck you, dude.
Shouldn't have sent a woman to do a man's job. Is that what he says?
That's where we're at. Yeah. So he's like, you let it get away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what were you going to do? Take it for a walk? And then he says, this is what happens when a woman tries to do a man's job.
He needs industrial strength therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off, Kane.
That's when she just should have roundhoused him.
Yeah, she should have. And then he's like, first they tell me I can't hunt elephant for ivory.
No.
Now I've got to deal with the people for the ethical treatment of werewolves. This guy sucks. He's the worst. And they didn't need him. We did not need this side plot in this story at all.
But he's someone that I think a lot of people can relate to, unfortunately.
Yep.
So we cut to Vamp Alley.
Cut to Vamp Alley, our fave.
And the werewolf, who's trying to make a quick escape, runs into not only a dead body, but also a vamp.
Yeah, he sees blood spots and the werewolf is like sniffing and following the blood trail.
Yeah, I love the werewolf when it sniffs. Like the whole head moves.
It's just it's such a bad costume. And the werewolf gets to a body and it's Teresa.
R.I.P. Teresa.
Bleeding from her neck.
Mm-hmm.
And someone's standing over the body in full vamp face.
Mm-hmm. Angelus.
Angelus is vamped out and they look at each other and they both growl.
Mm-hmm.
But who walks away? Who backs off?
Angelus backs off.
So now are we learning that vampires are scared of werewolves?
No, Angelus backs off because Angelus planted the body. He's backing off to let the werewolf
take the heat
and do its thing and blame the werewolf when really it was him.
I see.
No, he's in cahoots.
With himself?
But you can tell that they don't like one another. Yes, absolutely with himself. Yeah.
No,
Well, and with his two lovers.
His two lovers, Spike and Drusilla, which we don't get this episode, which is a shame. So yeah, I like that. And I'm sure that's probably accurate. I just thought that Angel was like, oh shit, I don't want to fuck with the werewolf. But
I didn't get that sense. I think that the werewolf and the vampire both are like, I see you. Is this going to be an attack? And Angelus is like,
back off. Yeah, he's probably like, oh, this will play well.
Exactly.
But what pokes a hole in that plan for me.
Okay.
Well, I guess maybe not, because when Teresa rises in a little bit, she says, Angel sends his love.
He sends his love. No, it was
so he turned her on purpose. So I guess why would he plan to turn her if the werewolf was going to mutilate and destroy her body?
A werewolf is mutilating or around town, right?
Yeah.
He's in the know. Angelus knows what's going on.
Well, I was just hoping
it's a way for him to throw Buffy off the scent or to plant something for her to catch on to. It's just the way that these vampires think, right?
Well, that one does. We know that there's some real silly Mickey Mouse vampires running around out there.
Him slinking off to me was not, I'm afraid of the werewolf or you win this round sort of a thing. It was more of a, I'm laying this down before you.
Gotta go.
Enjoy. See you later.
I like that. I guess I wanted to add werewolves to the list of things that vampires are scared of. Do you remember our good pal Four Cans?
Yeah.
He was scared of praying mantis lady.
He's afraid of a lot of stuff.
He was like, he saw that praying mantis and he fucking skedaddled.
Yeah, he's
So-
like, mantis hands. I have 4 cans.
This kid.
Mantis hands.
4 cans mantis hand.
Scoot.
So now we go to the woods.
If you're still with us, God bless you.
We go to the woods. Giles is in his car, his Citroen, and
Mhm.
he's asleep on the job.
Sleeping on the job.
Buffy shows up and she's like, "Hey, what's up, my guy?" And he's like, oh, did you see any werewolves? And she's like, no, and I'm pretty sure you didn't either. And they decide to leave because he says it's about to be light. So it's 4 to 5 in the morning. It's about to be sunrise.
Right. A news flash comes over the radio.
It sure does. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
There has been a body found in connection to the animal mutilation that's been occurring around town. And the body was identified as Sunnydale High School student
Teresa.
Klusmeyer, age 17.
R.I.P. Teresa.
I gotta say,
Mm-hmm.
point of order, but I don't have to say it anymore because
We got a butt.
got a butt. Point of order. We have seen the
Mhm.
Sunnydale police not do jack shit
Right.
when teenagers have been found dead all over the place.
But push your stepdad down the staircase and they're all over you.
They're all over you. And then now they're so on top of it, they've released information to the news.
Lickety split.
How have they already talked to Teresa's parents?
Informed next of kin.
Has her body even been identified? I guess it must have been, but like, how are they so inept in other ways and this time they're on it?
Maybe
Okay.
it wasn't the Sunnydale police that leaked the story or broke the story. Maybe it was an investigative journalist who was just at the right place at the right time, asking
Yeah.
the right answers, a gumshoe.
A
It's
little
like,
gumshoe. Yeah. Okay.
What'd you find out? Her name is Teresa. Teresa what? That's going to cost you.
I like that.
Okay, how about an ice cream down the street? All right, it was Teresa
Klusmeyer,
Klusmeyer.
age 17.
Yeah, how'd she die? Well, it looks like it was linked to those animal attacks.
What if Angelus leaked it and he was the one that was like,
There you go.
and he says it looked like the body had been mutilated by some kind of animal.
See?
Okay.
Throw him off the scent.
Hey.
Red herring.
Red
Get it?
because of the
Bloody.
blood. I get it.
Okay,
I get it.
all
I
right.
get it.
I'm full of them.
I love it. So Buffy looks devastated to hear that Teresa's dead.
Right.
But again,
It's got to hit home for her, not just being someone who she's quote unquote friends with, although we never saw them hang out,
no.
but it being someone who is her age at her high school
Mhm.
and someone dying while all of this is happening, and she's trying to find this creature to stop it.
Well, and she literally
So it's a
just
hit.
had the creature, but it got away. And so she's like,
Yeah.
fuck,
She's gonna blame herself.
maybe I was right. Maybe Kane was right. And she does say that coming
Yeah.
up. She's like, maybe I should have shot it. So we cut to Sunnydale, the woods, and the sun's up, and we see the werewolf just take a little nap, a little doggy nap.
Sleeping on the side of the trail.
And then he morphs.
He does. He wakes up in the morning and it's
Not Larry.
Oz.
It's Oz. Oz is a werewolf.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun. I do love Seth Green's delivery. He like sits up and he looks down and he realizes he's naked. And he's like, huh.
Yeah, it's one of those tropes with the werewolf stories, right? There's
Yeah.
always the morning after where
You're all
the
confused.
man wakes up having been the beast and you're confused and you're usually covered in blood. He's not, but you're naked or
Yeah.
in some sort of remnants of what clothes
tattered
might,
clothing. Yeah.
might remain.
Yeah, the next scene we're at Oz's house, new set,
Mhm.
Oz's house, and he's talking on the phone. He's like, "Oh, hey, Aunt Maureen," and he's like, "Oh, hey, so quick question: is Jordy a werewolf?" And he pauses. He's like, "Uh-huh." And Jordy is the cousin he mentioned having bit him
Aha.
earlier. Who's
Which I missed.
a
Whatever, man.
baby or a toddler because he says his grown-up teeth came in. So maybe not a toddler. Maybe he's like 5 or 6. He's young.
Mhm.
And she, I guess we assume says he is, and he goes, huh, so how long has that been going on
Oh, so Maureen had announces.
that Jordy's a werewolf?
We don't hear it because it's off screen, right?
Yeah, we
It's
just see
through
Oz,
the phone.
yeah.
Okay. Interesting how this is their like background for Oz.
Well, and then now we're like, so there's another werewolf in town? Is that the one that's been mutilating animals?
The kid?
Yeah.
The 6-year-old?
Yeah. What's he doing?
It's possible. Or my theory is maybe it was the kid who bit Larry, and Larry's also a werewolf.
Could be. We'll find out.
He's turned?
Could be.
Okay.
And Oz, God, Seth Green's so good as Oz. He's like receiving this really intense information. He goes, okay, well, give my love to Uncle Ken. And then he just hangs up the phone.
Nice.
And cut to the school, and he's looking pretty dazed. He goes in the library, and they kind of make it, he lingers where you think maybe he's going to tell them. But as he walks in, Buffy's like, can't believe I let that thing get away. I should have killed it when I had the chance. And Oz is like, killed what? And Buffy tells him, the werewolf, it was out last night. And then Oz gets really concerned. He's like, was anybody hurt?
Yeah.
Anyone get bitten or scratched or anything? And Willow's like, okay, no, we're fine. Are you okay? And then Buffy says, well, it got someone, killed Teresa. You could just see Seth Green plays it so well where he's like, oh my God. But he's still so subtle.
Yeah, how do you react to that news?
He's just like, huh. And then we get some interesting commentary from Xander's time being possessed by a hyena.
Yeah, which is pointed out to him by Willow.
Yeah. So
the Scoobies are on the hunt.
They're on the hunt, and they're talking about werewolves and how can we tell who it is? And Xander's like, well, Giles knows. And then I'm practically an expert on the subject. And Willow says, well, because that one time you were a hyena. And Xander says, I know what it's like to crave the taste of freshly killed meat, to be taken over by those uncontrollable urges. Mm-hmm. And Buffy looks at him and says, I thought you said you didn't remember any of that.
Aha. Where's your point of order?
Point of order?
He says that he doesn't remember any of that.
Seems like he does.
Apparently he does, and Buffy's onto it.
But we leave it at that. We never pick it back up.
That's it. He
all but admits he remembers sexually assaulting his friend. Fuck. Leaves it there. It's really cool. Thank you, writers, for that. And then he kind of gets all, no, I don't remember. I'm just
right. And then he quickly uses a diversion tactic.
Yes.
He's like, well, I think I know who it is.
Yeah, and Oz is getting panicked by the second.
And he starts listing off these characteristics that you'd find in someone who is a lot like him, but ends up he's blaming Larry.
Yeah, he's like, it's Larry. He got bit by a dog.
He did.
He's aggressive.
He is.
He was mean to Teresa.
He has been.
Makes sense. He's like, I'm gonna go confront him.
It's got to be it.
And when Xander says, I'm gonna go interrogate him.
Giles is like, yeah, get the fuck out of here.
He's like, good, go.
Good, go, because you almost spilled the beans that you remember everything from the hyena night, and I'm in on this, by the way.
That's the thing, buddy. Giles, Rupert. Not good. They're going to divide and conquer now.
Scoobies are on the hunt, right?
Willow's going to look through student records.
Of course.
Because she's always on the what? And she's going to see if anyone else fits the profile. Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
Buffy's like, okay. Or Giles says, Buffy, you come with me. I think I've got a better idea if we can.
Right. If this doesn't work, we have to have a backup plan, a plan B. And yeah. I think I know what that plan B is.
Yeah. So they go off and Oz and Willow are left together. And Willow's like, hey, are you okay? And he's spaced out.
He's not, because he just found out that he's a werewolf and that he murdered a
classmate
last night.
And, she's trying to communicate with him and try to get him to talk about how he's feeling. And he's kind of like, yeah, it's a lot. God, he's not, he's processing in real time. Yeah. Willow doesn't know. And she's like, hey, basically, do you want to stay and help me? And he's like, I'm busy tonight. I can't. And then he just leaves.
Yeah. And she gets her feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Because she thinks it's her.
She thinks it's her. Because again, he hasn't told her he's a werewolf.
Right. Yeah.
He barely understands that he's a werewolf.
How do you broach that subject?
Right. And so, but it's always sad to see Willow sad.
It is. And, it's kind of a theme in this show as well as many other series, because it's just the narrative of the communication, the mishap of not communicating.
Yeah.
And the other partner thinking that it must be them.
What did I do?
What did I do?
That's again, living with anxiety. I always think, what did I do? So we go to the locker room. Larry and Xander.
Speaking of anxiety.
Oh God.
This scene.
So they use this line a lot. Larry's getting dressed or doing whatever, and Xander just pops up and he goes, "Geez, Harris, like next time wear a bell." They're always mentioning about somebody wearing a bell.
Especially Xander wearing a bell.
Or yeah.
He does pop up.
He does. And he's like, "Why are you so nervous? Why are you so jumpy?" And Larry, I mean, the guy, you're in a fucking locker room. Maybe don't sneak up on people.
Snuck up on a dude in the locker room. I'd be a little jumpy too, pal.
And
especially knowing your relationship with your two other best little buddies.
Well, I was going to say anyway. Sunnydale locker room has a terrible reputation for bad things happening to people.
God, yeah, not to mention the bodies that are found.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, you don't sneak up on people in a locker room at this school.
Just a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't sneak up on anyone in a locker room.
Maybe don't sneak up on people, period.
Unless there's like a plan for it. It's consensual.
Here you go. So Xander's pushing. He's like, "What's going on? I know your secret." And Larry's starting to get nervous. He's like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm going to bury my fist in your face." And Xander says, "I know your secret, big guy." I'm like, why are you calling him big guy, first of all? And he's like, "I know what you've been doing at night." He's like, "That's going to get you in trouble." And he basically acts like he's going to punch Xander. And he says, "Hurting me isn't going to make this go away. People are still going to find out." Then Larry's like, "Okay, what do you want? You want hush money?"
We find out Larry does have a secret after all.
It's
and
not
that
what
Xander was a little warmer than he thought he was on this, but he's not a werewolf.
Yeah, he's gay.
Turns out Larry's gay.
Yeah.
And good for him.
And
good
Xander.
You, Larry. I hate that Xander had to out you.
Yeah.
But
Xander wasn't trying to out him, to be fair.
Well, he was trying to out him as a werewolf.
But he wasn't trying to out him for his sexuality. But and they do the whole bait and switch where Xander's like, "I know what you're going through because I've been there too."
Right, which he has.
I think in both instances. I'm just gonna say, I think him and he might have some feelings for Angel, and he was also possessed by an animal. So either way.
I see now. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not just Angel. What about his buddy?
Little Jesse.
Jesse.
Oh well, we'll see.
He had to stab Jesse.
He killed Jesse. I had to kill Jesse. I had to stake him.
R.I.P. Jesse.
I will remember you.
I wonder if Jesse and Larry were pals.
Maybe. We'll see. I keep saying we'll see. Jesse's dead. We won't see.
Yes.
No, that wasn't the button. I was like, "What got done?" Thank you. Yeah.
So
anyway, we find out
he says, "I am gay."
Larry's out.
He is out.
But he wants Xander to keep it on the down low because it's still the 90s. And
well, he actually doesn't say anything once he says it before that. Because once he comes out, he doesn't say we have to keep it a secret. I think Xander's the one that suggests like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't tell anybody about this." And Larry's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to force you."
Right. Well, because then Larry thinks that Xander knows because Xander's gay. And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, totally. Like your secret's safe with me." Xander's like, and Xander doesn't say no.
He doesn't.
"I'm not gay."
He's like, he does kind of say, "No, you got it wrong" or something. But and we get a little bit of the 90s gay panic.
And maybe Xander's not gay. Maybe he's bi.
Maybe Xander is.
I'm not gonna say maybe he's bi. Xander's bi.
You heard it here, folks. Canon. Here we go. I do like that Larry, once he says it, he's like, "Wow, I said it and it felt okay. I'm gay."
That. Good for Larry.
I
support you, Larry. Now that I understand that a lot of your bullying and emotional
still doesn't excuse
abuse is not excused, but I see where it came from now.
Yeah. And again, this actor does a great job of like,
excellent.
You can almost see the weight. Yeah.
Come off his shoulders. It's great.
Yeah.
This scene was difficult for me because I don't like the way that Larry was necessarily kind of outed or felt like he was forced to come out in this sort of way.
Yeah.
And comparing it to like a monster of, "Oh, I know your secret." And I know like,
Xander, he's like, "You have a cure?"
Right. And that kind of, I don't know. I was just uncomfortable, but I also have to keep in mind the time period at which we're having these conversations about kids in high school being gay, which is great that we're talking about it. I don't necessarily like the context of how this scene was written, and I feel like they could have done more with Larry's character to, address the subject of homosexuality and feelings in high school as a teenager. So I'm not like totally jazzed at this scene. I do find the humor and the old switcheroo, in the conversation of like, the wink wink and your secret's safe with me, and that kind of stuff. I can get behind it. I can move past this. Like, I'm not hung up on this, and just not like totally jazzed at how this all played out. Does that make sense to you?
No, it absolutely does. I mean, especially looking at it from our lens of being in 2024,
right?
It's clunky. It's clunky. Not nuanced. It's very coming out, I think, is it's a multifaceted conversation.
Right.
People have a lot of feelings on like, do you even need to come out?
Right.
But
we're talking about the patterns of masculine or toxic masculinity and the behavior and the behavioral traits that you see in young men, especially of this time period, where, not only are you making fun of people for being gay who may not be gay, or just assuming or whatever, it's used as slurs. It's used as a way to jab and poke and make fun of. It's bullying. And the way that they handle this, and we'll see what happens with his character. I'm interested to know, because I'd forgotten after watching this. I don't know. It just wasn't, again, I wasn't super jazzed about it, but I got to remember the time period.
Right.
We were talking recently about another show that was on the WB. I guess it was the WB at the same time.
What?
Dawson's Creek.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was on the same time.
Where they are writing about gay characters in a more nuanced way, but again,
of the time,
not perfect and of the time, because we get a scene with Dawson and the football team
I've not seen any of this, by
having to protect one of their players who's come out as gay by taking all of the names and numbers off or taking the names, I guess, or no, the numbers. Anyway, they took off all the stuff from their uniform, so you can't tell what player's who, and then they all wore makeup, so the other team wouldn't know which one of them was gay.
Oh, geez. Wow.
And that's the way that they addressed it. Now, they also got a lot of props and kudos for also having the first gay kiss, quote unquote.
Like you said, everybody kind of...
A lot of people lay claim to having the first gay kiss on television.
Yeah.
But my point being is that there were other shows at the time that were addressing this subject, and everyone kind of had a different way of broaching it. I think it got brought up on shows like Roseanne, and and so many other shows at the time period where it was like, dun dun dun, you're gay.
Yeah.
Like the coming out.
And now it's just part of the media.
I love that now it's part of the media. Like we were talking about on our Pride episode with the drag queens, to see individuals on television who are so confident and strong and, upfront about who they are. It's completely different nowadays from how it was in 1997.
Yeah. And
1998.
I even think in 98, this was probably people like, whoa, because, and same thing with Dawson's Creek and I don't know, like I said, I haven't seen Dawson's Creek. I don't know how that character was portrayed, but Larry, and this is not a spoiler, but now that Larry's out and we see him later on, he's not all of a sudden going to be more quote unquote gay, like characteristic of the time. He's still very masculine presenting. He's still a football player. And, I think portraying a very masculine man as being gay was still kind of a novel-ish thing to do at this time.
Right.
If you were going to have a gay character, it was going to be like a Will and Grace type of situation, very effeminate, for lack of a better word. And this is, again, this is not nuanced what I'm saying. I'm saying this is how they were portrayed. Like, you're the hairdresser, you're the very effeminate, non-sport loving type of guy if you were, portrayed as a gay man in a lot of media, and which those people exist and they need to be represented. But I think probably at this time, having the football player who's the bully turn out to really be gay, and that doesn't change who he is.
No,
because that's your sexuality does not define you. We now know Larry has the secret. It's not that he's a werewolf, but he's gay.
Welcome, Larry.
Welcome. You're welcome here, Larry. You're safe. So we go to the library and Buffy comes up to Willow, who's on the click-clacks, and she goes, "What's the scuttlebutt? The fuck are you talking about, Buffy?"
What a great phrase.
And that just makes me think of the new Little Mermaid, which is a great movie. There's a song called The Scuttlebutt. The Scuttlebutt.
Oh, you mean it's not a fever dream in a castle with every celebrity star from the past 40 years playing pieces of furniture with terrible French accents?
No.
Great. Maybe I'll watch The Little Mermaid.
You should. The Little Mermaid's really good. Javier Bardem is King Triton, which is good. And everyone, I want to make a little PSA. If you see me like looking over this way and making faces, my children are home today and they can see in this room. And my youngest is on a scooter scooting around the hallway. So Willow's like, I have found a student who fits the behavior, aggressive behavior, run-ins with authorities, about a screen full of violent incidences.
Buffy's like, hey, listen.
So funny. And they're, I like to see them when they're being friends, and
I do like when the two of
other.
them are just friends.
Yes.
And there's not like a mystery to solve. They're just being girls, just teenagers building a relationship.
Yeah. And again, on that, Buffy says, "Hey, I noticed you were looking a little sad earlier." And Willow's like, "Yeah, Oz needed to be someplace that wasn't with me." Sad. And Buffy's just being there for her. She's like, "Hey, I think, this is really, it's disappointing." And she's like, "But hey, if you want to speed up the situation,
take the reins.
Like maybe you need to make the first move."
Yeah.
And Willow, and again, this is written by a man, but this was still how people spoke at that time. She goes, "Oh, well, won't that make me a slut?" No, it doesn't. And I think today's generation, more than my generation, more than Ryan's generation did, as a woman, making the first move is just you making the first move. Consensually, of course, right? You shouldn't do anything someone else isn't willing or ready to do, but I hated this. I read this and I was like, I listened to it and it's like, that's how I felt though.
Yeah.
We all kind of felt like that. You had to wait for the guy to make the first move. Because if you did it, you were being too forward. You were a slut.
Well, you are a slut.
I'm a big slut. I am. Listen, yes. I didn't land a husband with my conversation skills. Okay. This next scene I also hate too, because they move the conversation to the hallway. And Willow says, I miss the old days when you knew a boy liked you because he would run up and punch you on the arm and then run back to his friends. Mm-hmm. Fucking Xander comes up and punches Buffy in the arms. Like, what are we doing, guys? I hate this.
Oh, God.
Why? Why?
I totally missed that.
We're still doing this with Buffy. We're still doing this.
Yeah. And it goes further than that.
I know. We're going to get there.
This episode.
We get to the funeral home field trip.
You know who else misses the
good old days?
The good old days of just rolling up and punching a girl in the arm with your fist. Norman.
Good Lord.
Okay. Anyway.
The fistus, remember?
Fistus.
Oh, okay. God, Norman. Norman, you're not anything but glue. But didn't they smash him into the adhesive?
Yeah, things got a little sticky.
We will remember you, Norm. Mm-hmm. Willow leaves, and Xander and Buffy are talking, and he makes a comment about Cordelia and Willow hanging out. He's like, "Oh, those two girls hanging out. Should I be worried?"
Yeah, you should.
Shut up.
Yeah, you should.
And she goes, "How did it go with Larry?" Buffy asked Xander that, and he goes, "What do you mean? Can't two guys be in a locker room without it being weird?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" So, she's like, "We're back to square one. Giles and I are going to try to catch it tonight so it doesn't hurt anybody else." And then Buffy kind of has a moment. She's like, "Okay."
Aren't they like, what other creature could it be?
Right. Because she said, Xander gives her, he's complimenting her. He's like, "Buffy, you're the eradicator of evil. You defend the people who need defending." And Buffy's like, "Well, tell it to Teresa before she got mauled by," and she's like, "Wait a second. All the reports say that she wasn't mauled. There's nothing about her being mauled."
Nothing says she was mauled like the other animals were mauled.
Right. And we just assumed it was the werewolf. And Xander's like, "What else could we have assumed?" Buffy is smart. We see this again. Buffy is smart.
You live on the Hellmouth. It may not be a werewolf. It may be a dozen or 3 dozen other creatures.
Shake a stick at what could have killed her.
Make it up.
You just had a Tetris demon last episode.
It could be anything.
It could be anything. So
Could be a pencil.
come on.
I don't know. That's like,
Pencil. Fucking enchanted pencil. Ah!
this isn't a number 2.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So cut to the funeral home because we can just leave school in the middle of the day.
Hey,
is this a day later? They've already got Teresa's
Buffy.
viewing.
It could be anything. Let's ditch class.
Yeah.
Let's swing by the funeral home.
Sure.
And just poke around her neck and
Yes.
see if we can find any vamp marks.
Reasonable.
Great. Meet you at the car.
Yeah.
Hold on. I
We
don't have
don't-
a car. We got to call Cordelia.
Oh, Cordelia's
My
talking to Willow.
taxi.
Guess we're gonna walk to
We're
the funeral
walking it.
home. I'm sorry, but look. That's a quick turnaround for Teresa. She was just found dead the night before.
Maybe she's from a Jewish family.
No. Well, I guess I was gonna say
Teresa.
no. Usually, if you're gonna be that observant, you would be in a wooden, like a pine box coffin, not the fancy schmancy one she was in. So who knows?
Either way.
So
These
they
two
go
leaving school. Right.
and they literally walk up to this body that's open for a viewing.
Right.
No one's around at the funeral home. And they pull her scarf.
There it is. Evidence. Proof.
Okay, this is also, here we go. I'm just going to wear this button out. Point of order. This should be a body that's under investigation.
You think it'd be at the
Potential
coroner's
attack?
office, right?
You would think.
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever did this
Right.
shoddy cover-up job on this poor girl's wounds, no makeup.
No cover
There's
up.
still dried blood.
No cover up.
It's ridiculous. And
They're used to that in this town, though. They're like, oh, another vamp victim. Throw them in the box.
Here we
Let's
go.
Burn
Let's
them and
go.
turn them.
That's their way. That's their motto.
That's it.
And you would think at this point they would start burning bodies that have vampire bites.
B&T funeral home. Oh, I got to put the funeral home on the geolocation.
So they realize
Uh-huh.
Teresa was not mauled by the werewolf. She was bitten and killed by a vampire. And so Buffy feels even more guilty.
Yeah, because her number one, priority
Job.
has been killing the vampires and the
Mhm.
demons and the forces of evil.
Well, I
But
guess this is also,
she's been lacking on killing the most important vampires in her community. She has let Spike go thrice.
I would say yes.
She
Thrice.
has let Yeah, she's let oh my god.
Angel,
She's let Drusilla go at least twice,
at least.
and she's let Angel go.
She
in more
had
than
a
one way.
stake out. Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
In the
He had a stake out. Okay.
And she feels bad. And Xander, I do like this. He's like, Buffy, you can't blame yourself for every death. He's like, look, if it weren't for you, people would be lined up 5 deep waiting to get themselves buried. Willow would be Robbie the robot's love slave. I wouldn't have a head.
Sure.
And Teresa's a vampire. And she's like, what? Teresa has risen. She's a vamp. She's been turned. And then, God damn it, here we go again.
is.
Point of order.
Which is?
Vampire. They've established this. They have said this in the show. When you get turned, they suck your blood. You suck a little bit of their blood. They bury you underground, and then you come with a vampire.
You got to be buried
You got to be
Underground?
buried.
in the ground.
We will learn later from a vampire about their own story of being turned and how they were buried and they woke up and had to dig themselves out of the grave. Like, it's canon. But now we're just fast and loose. Like, you can just bite somebody and put them in a coffin and your work is done.
It's like an assistant writer in the writer's room eating a ham sandwich. I'm like, just throw him in a coffin. That's
It'll be
close enough.
fine.
Like, the same thing as being buried, right? And
Right?
like, yeah.
And Teresa attacks Buffy and they're doing a little bit of fighty, kick.
Yeah.
And Buffy's about to stake her. And Teresa says, Angel says to send you his love.
Oh.
And Buffy's like freezes. Teresa flips her and she gets the one up on her, and Xander comes from behind and stakes her.
I was going to wonder how you were going to finish that sentence. Lets her have it.
I guess it's with the little, oh my God. Nope. I'm going to keep going. With the little stand that you would have
Pokes
a
her
picture
from behind.
a photo at a funeral, one of those little stands.
Puts it in her back.
Shut up. I'm trying to seriously podcast here.
Of course.
I'm a serious person.
Okay.
Yeah. He stakes her, and then they're like, well, here we go. You may enter.
I love the Tell Cersei it was me. Yes, I love the Alana Martell of it all, where she's like, tell Buffy it was me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Elena Terrell.
Yeah. I love the Elena Terrell of it all. She's like, tell Buffy it was Angel.
Yeah. I want Buffy to know it was me. Nah. Yeah. And so then we get a baffling moment in the same scene. Buffy's upset and she's like, this isn't happening. He's just going to keep coming after me. She hugs Xander. I noticed she puts her arms around Xander and they're friends. And she's like tucking her head into him and he's rubbing her back and he's like, don't let him get to you. He's not the same guy you knew. And she looks up at him and he looks down at her. There's a moment. And I'm like, why? And she's like, she looks at him. They're all but about to kiss. Then she breaks the contact. She walks away and Xander says, oh no, my life's not too complicated. Why did they do this? Why did y'all do this? Why? Rob, Dean, I got to know. Why?
Probably because of Joss.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either, but here we are.
So we cut to the woods and our good pal Gib is in his van making silver bullets. Because that's what you do.
I can't with this guy.
I can't. I don't even want to talk about it. So we do that. And then we see the full moon. It's out. And we're at Oz's house. And he's got a box full of shackles. He dumps them on the table and he's like sorting them out.
As one does.
And we just hear, just knock on the door.
Banging on the door.
He should have not have answered it, but he chooses to.
Oh, love shack.
And he opens the door and Willow's like, she's ready. She means business.
She wants answers,
she
but more than that,
there.
she wants smooches.
She does. And she goes inside and she's like, I had this whole thing worked out. I wrote it down, but it didn't make any sense. And she's giving him the business. She's like, what's going on? Well,
she's trying to give him the business.
She's like, what am I supposed to think?
Right.
You're buying me popcorn. You're taking me to the movies. You saved me. And now I asked you to help me and you say you can't. And now you're here all alone in your house doing nothing. And he's like, Willow,
you need to leave.
We'll talk about this tomorrow. And she's like, no, damn it. We'll talk about this right now.
I love it.
I do too.
I love her.
And she's like, Buffy said you have to make the first move. And she keeps going on. And he's like, I know. It's me. I'm going through some changes. And she's like, well, hello, welcome to the world. I'm going through stuff too. And I do love that.
I do.
Because as we've mentioned, someone with anxiety, sometimes you can get so wrapped up in like this, where it's like, hey, everybody's dealing with shit.
Right.
I am not the center of the universe. And she sees the chains and she's like, huh? Like, what's going on?
Sorry.
Well, no, she's like, why do you have chains and stuff?
Such a fucking child. I'm like,
oh. And Oz falls on the ground. He's like, Willow, you need to get out of here. And he's like, he's starting to change. Yeah. She's like, Oz. And he's behind the couch, so she can't see what's happening.
Right. But, you hear things when a werewolf changes.
Yeah. She's getting closer and closer.
And
he pops up.
He's a werewolf. And she's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. And he growls at her and she screams and she runs away.
The best scream.
Willow, Allison Hannigan, top-notch scream.
Great screamer.
And she runs out. Oz chases her. She jumps over the fence and she lies in wait with the trash can. And when he comes over, she smacks him.
Smacks him with the trash can.
And the
old trash can in the face bit gets him every time.
And we see Kane's in his car, his van, and we hear...
It's a creepy van.
So creepy. He hears the werewolf howl. He's like, I gotcha. I'm going to get you. And we go to the library. Giles has a gun.
Again, just a character that we didn't need.
He has a gun. He's like, grabs the barrel. He's assembling the gun. We're like, oh, fuck. This
Giles
is serious.
Business. This is plan B.
And Buffy shows up. She's like, sorry I'm late. I had to slay Teresa. Giles was like, what? And she was a vampire. And Buffy tells him, Angel sent her to me as a token of his affection. And Giles is so sweet. He takes a moment. He's like, Buffy, I'm so sorry. She's like, no. We can have ourselves a good cry after we bag the werewolf.
Yeah.
And...
well, I think she also knows what she has to do.
Right. And we go back to Willow. She's running through the woods. Oz, the werewolf, is gaining on her. She trips. He's not like basically going to get her, but he smells something and he runs away.
Again, the terrible werewolf
It's so
costume.
bad.
And this is the one scene where they actually make the eyes move on the creature.
But it's like CGI kind of eyes. It's so bad.
It's not even that. It's like the Chuck E. Cheese character eyes.
Yeah.
Like the animatronics where it's like, where are you looking, sir?
Yeah. And he goes off in another direction and Willow immediately gets up and runs away. We cut to the library. Giles has his gun assembled. They're getting ready to leave. And Willow comes in. She's like, it's Oz, it's Oz, it's Oz.
Mm-hmm.
She tells them that Oz is the werewolf. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna get him. Don't worry. And she's like, you're not gonna hurt him. He's like, no. I've loaded this thing with enough. It's basically tranquilizer. He's like, I've got enough. Is it Seroquel? What does he say?
It's a tranquilizer. And
yeah.
I do like when Buffy's like, well, how do you know it's Oz? And she said, well, he said that he's going through all these changes and then he changed. So great.
Yeah. And she tells him like, yeah, he's in the woods. She does get very panicked about the gun. And Giles is like, no. Hey, I've got enough tranquilizer to take out an elephant or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So their plan is not to kill. It's to tranquilize the werewolf.
To capture and
safely secure.
Yes. And release.
So unfortunately, we cut back to the woods and Kane has the werewolf in his sights. He's about to shoot him.
But
ka-chow. Buffy shows up, kicks the gun out of his hands.
That's right. Just in the nick of time.
And, his gun fires, I think. And then everything's chaos because Buffy's there fighting Kane. Then she hurts him. He's off to the side.
Then Giles and Willow get knocked down and they lose the gun.
And the werewolf's attacking Buffy, knocks her down, then is turning on Willow. Willow picks up the trank.
And tranquilizes the werewolf.
Yeah. And immediately down
for the count.
Yeah. Whew. So fast.
Fast and loose, fighty, kick, as
Here
always.
we go. Yeah.
So we jump to the next day.
And
we're outside of Sunnydale High.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We forgot the one little part where Kane.
Gib.
Old Gib. Actually, I said this earlier about the comment he makes, no wonder this town's overrun with monsters. He says it here, actually, when he realizes that they've tranquilized the werewolf. And, he says, no one's man enough to kill them. And Buffy grabs his gun and just bends the barrel.
Yeah.
And throws it. And she says, how about you let the door hit you in the ass on the way out of town?
Love that.
I hope it does. That guy sucks.
Yeah. See ya. Never come back to Sunnydale.
Bye. And then Willow asks Giles, do you think he's going to be okay? He's like, yes. He'll be sore in the morning, but he'll be Oz. Yep. And we cut to the next day. School. Business as usual.
Business as usual. And I love that there's a group of guys outside on the front lawn playing hacky sack.
That's such a time. That's such a product of the time.
Totally. I loved it. It's good.
Did you ever play hacky sack?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. I had multiple hacky sacks. I was not into it like the stoner group.
It was such a stoner thing.
We were like totally into it. The longer hair and the baggy jeans with the chains and the t-shirts with all the
band tees
and stuff like that. But no, that was not me. I was like playing hacky sack with like the church kids.
Xander's being Xander. He's like, I don't know how to act around him. It's got to be like, how do we treat Oz? And Buffy's being kind. She's like, well, it's probably weird for him.
Right.
First of all.
He's like making it sound like something actually physically happened between the two of them in the locker room.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Because he's referring to Larry and Buffy's talking about
But he's
Oz.
using entendres, right?
Ugh,
both of them are talking about something completely different. And I'm like, what happened in the locker room after the camera stopped shooting? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, I hate this line where he says, like, all I know is I'll never be able to look at him the same again. Shut the fuck up, Xander.
Shut up.
He needs industrial strength therapy.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And speaking of Larry, we, in kind of like a little 2 beat we see from earlier where he knocked the book out of the girl's hands, being gross, where, he and the boys are like, oh, thank you, Thigh Master. Now a girl drops her books and he bends to pick them up and gives them to her.
And some other guy. It's his buddy's like, thanks for the thigh mask.
Fucking A. And Larry comes up and he's like, Xander, I just want to say that I owe you. I really appreciate what you did. Like, and he's trying to be nice. He's like, thank you. And Xander's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate the gay panic. And Buffy's like, well, that was weird.
Of the time.
Yeah. And Xander's like, you know, what? Why is it going to be weird? Nothing happened. And you're being so pushy. And Buffy's like,
if I were Buffy, I'd be like, methinks thou dost protest too much. What happened in the locker room, buddy?
Yep. And Buffy says, you know, weirdness abounds lately. Maybe it's the moon. Oh, we get it because it's a full moon. It's werewolves.
Oh, what a phase.
Yeah. And she says, you know, this is gonna put a strain on Willow and Oz's relationship. And then here we go, Xander being super helpful and what a great friend. What relationship? I mean, what life could they possibly have together? Which he did with Buffy and Angel. Remember we was talking about Angel's blood belly.
Right.
I know, it's so gross. And he says, we're talking obedience school, paper training. Oz is always in the back burying their things. And that kind of breed can turn on its owner.
I'm sick. I need help.
Why?
Why
do we need this character?
Why? What does he do?
I mean, we could have a Xander that doesn't say or behave these ways.
If we wrote this show today, this wouldn't be happening.
Anyway, I don't get it. Well.
Yep. Well, so.
We still have to kind of tie things up with Willow and with Oz, which we do.
And I do like the end of that conversation with Buffy and Xander because Xander says, well, I'm just saying she's not safe with him. If it were up to me. And Buffy says, Xander, it's not up to you.
It's not up to you, buddy.
Yeah.
It's up to Willow.
Yep. So yeah, we go to Willow and Oz. We got to see where they're at. And this is such a sweet scene.
It's a very sweet scene. Again, I really enjoy the scenes with Willow and Oz.
I do too.
I think that they have a great dynamic. They have really good chemistry. The characters, as well as the actors who are portraying the characters. But I like how they really just fit well together. They can finish each other's thoughts and sentences. An apology can be an apology. It's, I don't know. It's just good. It's brilliant. And I love what they're wearing.
They look great here.
This is another sleigh. Both of them have a great outfit. Both of them have peak 90s casual school outfits.
1000%.
He's wearing what looks like a band tee with a great like kind of jacket on top of that, and I can't remember what sort of pants he's got on. And then he's got the double earring. He's got the double earring. Yeah. He's put together. His hair looks good. It's great. And then she looks really good. She's got, again, they love to put Willow in purple and green.
They do.
And here she is in her purple, and she's got like her hair done. Anyway, she looks great as well with a nice little skirt.
She does.
Legging combo. And
they're having the conversation of where do we go from here? I mean, Willow's checking in on him and he's like, hey, I'm dealing with something
beyond his control.
Not every day you find out that you're a werewolf. It's probably going to take, a while to get used to. And he's like, and I probably shouldn't be bothering you. And she's like, what is this child doing? She says, or no, he's like, I don't think I should be around you. She's like, but I want you around. Like, I want to be bothered by you.
I love that.
And they basically end it with like, okay, we're going to give this a go. And, she says, hey, 3 days out of the month, I'm not that much fun to be around. I'm like, sing it, sister, because hard same. And they end it, she like walks away and then we're like, this would have been the moment. Why don't you guys kiss? And then Willow runs back and she gives him a big old smooch.
She does.
Yeah.
Which in his dream, she's the one who initiates the smooch. She's kissing him.
She's not kissing anybody else.
So his dreams have come true.
It's so sweet.
I love it.
And that's it.
And he says, a werewolf in love.
Ugh.
And then we cut to credits.
That's it. That was Phases.
Loved it.
We did it. So, okay, well, Ryan.
Jenny, what's it time for?
Oh, so glad you asked.
Oh, someone put a stake in me.
What Jenny, do you give? Or do you want me to go first?
You get to go first this time.
I am going to give this. I'm going to give it 3 stakes because I love the Oz and Willow of it all.
Okay.
But the rest of it, the misogyny, the inclusion of the character Kane, which we absolutely did not need. We could have just had the mystery of somebody's mutilating animals.
Right.
Somebody killed Teresa.
Yeah.
We didn't need that. And it was, and as we talked about with Larry, we understand the aggression and the misogyny being a front for his repressed feelings.
Yes.
But it still was really gross to see him assault Teresa, assault Buffy.
Yeah.
And the way it was handled with Xander and Larry's conversation where he comes out, again, it was of the time, but it was still pretty clunky. We had to deal with the gay panic. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
They do the thing where they have the monster of the week and they just weigh it down with so much other stuff they don't need.
Mm-hmm.
But we learn that Oz is a werewolf.
Yeah.
We get that canon.
Yeah.
We get Oz and Willow's relationship developing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3.
You're more generous than I am.
What do you got? What are you going to give it?
I've got a 2.5. I really didn't think that much of this episode held up compared to some others that I've given 3s to. And may even less than a 2.5. But again, I like the Willow and Oz of it all. But we really didn't get much more from Angel. So there wasn't really a need to have him pop up in this episode. So it seemed like maybe more could have been done with that. It seemed like they could have handled the whole Jesse and Xander of it all.
Larry.
Again, excuse me. Oh, Larry and Xander of it all better than they did.
Yeah.
We are left hanging with what happened with Miss Calendar and Giles without any sort of like final.
Not even a reference.
No resolution on that or any like, hey, Giles, are you okay? You know, I can understand maybe you're pretty down right now because your girlfriend's been lying to you and everyone else. But how do you feel about it? Just pivots to this monster of the week, which happy to have a werewolf on set and happy to have the backstory of Oz start to play out and the character.
It's an interesting way to use that character.
I'm in, but we didn't need the werewolf hunter at all.
No,
we didn't need Angelus in this episode at all. Or if we did, let's use it a bit more.
He could have been the Kane.
The Kane character,
that
time that was spent on him and the stupid van making stupid silver bullets, and with him in the forest or where the park just making terrible misogynistic phrases at Buffy, could have just been Angel meddling in what's going on and Buffy being torn between, I've got to solve this issue with the werewolf and I've got this stupid fucking vampire who
I was in love with. Yeah.
Who I still haven't found any closure on that, who's bothering me. But we don't get any of what just happened. That was huge in the last episode.
Okay.
I can't give anything more than a 2.5.
I know I do this, but I'm doing this. I'm actually going to bring it down because you're right. If you're going to leave off of Surprise and Innocence and then to this,
you just drop us into like an episode that was just clunked together without any sort of connective material at all.
Angelus could have been like the Kane. Like you said, he could have been the one.
We don't know what's going on with Spike and Drew.
Not a mention. Nothing.
Not a mention.
Yeah, 2.5 for me too. Yeah. I just love Willow and Oz so much.
I do too. And that's the only reason it's at a 2.5.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Love it when you turn around.
Easily influenced. Okay.
Easily influenced. Sure.
So we will have a spoiler section after the credits.
Oh, we will.
We will. We've got a few things to discuss, even on an episode that's, 2.5. Some things are foreshadowed here that I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this episode that you can connect with.
Yeah. And I think that's why I wanted to give it the 3 because there was
just so much that threw you off from where you were and how connected you were.
Yeah, they could have done a better job. I would have given a 3 without the misogyny because it does connect at least. We do get Angelus, but we get, this is 2.5. It's 2.5. So,
yeah.
But before we get to the spoiler section, we got to close the show. We got to close the episode.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Well, if you've enjoyed listening to today's episode, please be sure to like and subscribe on your preferred streaming service.
Please. And don't miss our Unhinged podcast episodes that come out every Wednesday. You can watch and listen to Once More, a rewatch podcast, and our Unhinged episodes on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio.
And to keep up with new episode drops and to see additional fun content, please follow us on our social media channels. We are at Once More Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and Threads. And we are the Once More Pod on X, although we're hardly ever over there.
I don't know if we will be, especially with the election coming up. I don't think I'm going to be on X. So, and we mentioned YouTube.
CX.
You can find us on YouTube/oncemorepodcast. Like and subscribe. We really appreciate it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Once More. We'll see you next Friday for episode 16 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, season 2, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered.
I love that episode.
Yeah, I do too.
Love it. Hey, I'm Jen Katz.
And I'm Ryan.
And remember, our phone number is 1-800-WE'RE DATING A SKANKY HOE.
I wish.
Bye. Okay, spoilers. So,
yes, let's do it.
Oz is a werewolf.
He is.
He's a werewolf. We are going to...
That's not a spoiler.
No. But in season 4, when they're at Sunnydale College...
So 2 seasons from now, we still have Oz.
He starts to struggle with his werewolfness. He feels like he's repressing his nature a little bit. And that comes out more when a female werewolf named Veruca comes to town.
Comes sniffing around.
And she's like, you got to give in to your nature. We're wild beasts.
Oh.
And he...
I dated one of those in college too, Oz. It happens. It's a phase.
I hate it. I see what you did there. I hate how we lose Oz. And it's some of the way Seth Green leaves the show allegedly has to do with he was getting a lot more movie offers, but he wanted to make it work. He wanted to still play Oz, but also wanted to free up his schedule to do films. And Joss Whedon basically was like, no. So
he's getting too popular, I think.
Yeah, he was. God, Seth Green was everywhere in the late 90s, early 2000s. And as he should have been, he's an amazing actor. I love Seth Green, but yeah.
I meant getting too popular for Joss Whedon.
Oh, probably.
Didn't that same thing happen with Spike?
Not in the same way, but he was.
Wasn't he going to be booted off? But people,
he was going to kill Spike.
We can't kill Spike off.
And allegedly, according to James Marsters, who played Spike, Joss Whedon threw him against a wall and was like, "Oh, I could kill you, but you're too fucking popular," something like that. It's in Evan Ross Katz's book in more detail. But so Oz, going forward, Oz, whenever he turns, they lock him in the library in the cage, and so he doesn't really give in to his. He's not a free werewolf, and in season 4, he leaves Sunnydale to go become one with his werewolfness, and
he does, and that creates a little bit of conflict and misunderstanding in the relationship with him and Willow.
Well, he breaks up with her. He leaves her.
Yeah, but he still loves her.
He loves her, and he assumed she was going to wait, and she doesn't.
He certainly didn't make the best move.
He did not.
But you live and you learn.
You live and you learn.
He come back, and he has to live with his consequences of his actions.
He does. And so another spoiler that I had was we see Catherine the Great in the statue, Amy's mom. And next week, we're going to see Amy again. Amy's back doing witchy stuff. And Amy is, oh God, I can't get into Amy too much because you haven't seen past season 5. But this is the one instance, or one of a few, where they take a character that you think is going to be a throwaway and they really do interesting things with. So we'll see Amy. We'll see witchy stuff. And then Willow's deer shirt.
Loved it.
I can say this because you know this fact. Buffy dies at the end of season 5.
Right.
She comes back. Do you know how she comes back?
As a deer.
Yes.
It's her Patronus.
It's her Patronus, yes.
Okay, cool. Great.
She comes back as a deer.
All right, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. But for real, do you know how she comes back? Do you want me to say how she comes back or no? Do you want to wait?
I mean, is it beyond season 5?
Yes.
Then don't spoil it.
Okay, so if you are listening
the code.
at home,
Otherwise,
you're right.
how far are we going to go into it?
Well, I just know that you know she comes back, so that's all. But anyway, I'll leave it.
Well, she comes back for at least 2 seasons. I know.
Yeah, right. If you've seen season 6 and you know how Buffy is returned, you will understand that it's kind of cool to see Willow wearing a deer shirt. That's all I'm going to say then. Okay. And then Larry.
Do we get more Larry?
We do. And Larry makes comments about how now he's out to his family. His grandma's trying to set him up with guys.
Good for Larry.
He's a nice guy, and he helps defend Sunnydale against the mayor in season 3, Sunnydale High School.
Oh, does he go down with the ship?
He goes down with the ship.
Damn it.
I know.
Larry, Godspeed.
Godspeed.
We'll enjoy you for the episodes that we have.
We will. That's all I got.
All right.
All right.
Well, thanks so much, Jenny.
You're welcome. I'm going to go, hopefully not get bit by my little cousin Jordy.
All right.